in the presence of a UK parliamentary delegation led by Kate Osamo, the MP for Edmonton, who was there along with other parliamentarians. I think those British parliamentarians must have been shocked. They must have been asking Kate Osamo that, well, is this how they operate in your country? So it's exposing, the Nigerian National Assembly to ridicule.
Your refusal to accept and treat my petition before the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges and Abuse of my privileges, and I say forth that this matter is not subject, it is not before the court. The matter before the court is on the defamation and cyberbullying statements made by your special assistant on new media, Mr. Patrick Conform, who addressed my decent outfits as transparent, thereby depicting that I walk sedulously and naked to the chambers. That is the nature of the petition. I believe, and please, would you stop turning off my microphone?
Guys, I'm sure most of you have heard of the word that says, do not wash your dirty linen in the public space. Aside the fact Nigerian senators, they've been washing their dirty linen in the public spaces. Guess what? Yesterday, while they were doing their show of shame at the Senate, UK, United Kingdom parliamentarians, they were present right at the Red Chamber, at the Nigeria Senate floor. They were there, observing what was going on. That was when this show of shame, the number one senator was being accused of sexual harassment by a fellow senator. Instead of them to have tried to play along, you understand, not to be biased, fellow senators disgraced themselves more. And right now, the UK parliamentarians that were present there, they are now saying that they are ashamed of Nigeria lawmakers. I'm not the one saying, yeah, watch the video for yourself. But please don't tell me that you'll be enemy of Nigeria. The first you should do for me now is to please like this video. Share it in all your platform. Let the world see this video. Thanks and God bless you.
Your refusal to accept and treat my petition before the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges and Abuse of my privileges, and I say forth that this matter is not subject, it is not before the court. The matter before the court is on the defamation and cyberbullying statements made by your special assistant on new media, Mr. Patrick Conform, who addressed my decent outfits as transparent, thereby depicting that I walk sedulously and naked to the chambers. That is the nature of the petition. I believe, and please, would you stop turning off my microphone? I represent people, and I represent women who have been silenced.
All right, so many things happened yesterday. Yes. In addition to this report, really well done by Omo, there was also a report by Adesua, who had also featured, Adesua Asagi, who had featured the protesters, pro-Akpoti and pro-Akpabio protesters outside the assembly. Your take on this story, Rufai?
So there are many clarifications that need to be made this morning. The first clarification was about Cyril Fasui and his assertion.
Yeah.
What Cyril Fasui was saying was he wanted to present a petition based on the Ajaokota matter. There was no case of sexual harassment in what Cyril Fasui said, because there were some newspapers that misconstrued it and reported a certain way. And in fact, there's been a clarification by the FIME team today, and he said even concerning the Ajaokota matter, doesn't want to be dragged in, to this debacle, and you should be left out of this. So I think there's a clarification there.
Yeah.
I think the talk about Cyril Fasui never asserted anything about sexual harassment. So that's clarification number one. Clarification number two is about the Senate Ethics Committee, which I think is not fair. And now I believe that Natasha can never get fair treatment by the Senate Ethics Committee. And I'm going to prove my point to you. As regards the case of Natasha submitting a petition on sexual harassment, the truth has to be said, the laws have to be followed.
Absolutely.
Section 40. She didn't follow that law. Why did Natasha not follow that law? Also because there's no senator, and I repeat, they can correct me if I'm wrong, willing to take on the fight and help her in submitting or co-authoring a petition against the Senate president. We have seen where most of these senators lie in all of this conversation. Secondly, why I say the Ethics Committee is not fair is the fact that yesterday there was a court order suspending the Senate Ethics Committee investigating Natasha's, tiff with the Senate President. There was a court order. I also have a copy of a letter here that was written to the clerk of the House as regards that. And guess what the Senate Ethics Committee did? They ignored the court order, they violated the court order, and went on to hold the hearing as against the court order. When it's now Natasha's petition, they keep insisting that the case is in court. With due respect, there's no case in court. What are the cases in court? Number one, case of defamation against Patrick Mfon. Secondly, the case filed by, Mrs. Unoma. And the third case in court is the motion that she got as a court injunction against them sitting the Ethics Committee, prevailing over a case and calling out for investigation. So those are the ones in court. But this sexual harassment claim, no. The case of even Senator Godswill Akpabio's wife, Senate President's wife, is a defamation case. So it's not a substantive case against, sexual harassment. So let us clear that. In one breath, the Senate Ethics Committee can ignore a court order and a case already in court. But they're also citing that a case is in court, so they don't want to take on the petition. I think Natasha should find some way to represent this petition, because if we want clarity as regards this matter, investigation must be had. Nobody is saying Akpabio is right, Natasha is right. We must just investigate the case. That's just what my point on this.
Okay, let's look at the basic issues here. I think yesterday was a pivotal moment for the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and by extension, the whole of the National Assembly. For the first time since our return to 1999, we have the chairman of the National Assembly, the number 3 citizen in the country, being accused in open plenary of sexual harassment. And what even makes it more sordid is that this was done in the presence of a UK parliamentary delegation led by Kate Osamo, the MP for Edmonton, who was there along with other parliamentarians. I think those British parliamentarians must have been shocked. They must have been asking Kate Osamo that, is this how they operate in your country? So it's exposing, the Nigerian National Assembly to ridicule. And this is why I agree with Senator Bukola Saraki, former Senate President, that the main issue should be the integrity of the National Assembly. The integrity of this National Assembly has been dragged so poorly on the streets of Nigeria that yesterday we watched the spectacle, the Nollywood type style, engagement of sponsored hungry Nigerians. One party carrying placards and banners, in fact, designer banners, supporting one side to the argument, the other side supporting the other side. I think it's very bad optics, and that the National Assembly is bringing us this embarrassment is to be condemned by every Nigerian. What is the basis of this? The basis of this is the petition by Senator Akpoti Uduaghan alleging sexual harassment. Now, the National Assembly, the Senate is saying they have their rules. Order 40, sub 4, sub 9, whatever, which they were quoting yesterday. Now, no one should expect that if she or he is a member of an institution, you cannot operate outside the rules of that institution. Senator Akpoti Uduaghan herself made a point yesterday that she first came to Arise News before going to the floor of the Senate. Perhaps the floor of the Senate should have been the place to start the petition, to start the protest, rather than in the media. After prolonged media trial, you now go back to the original forum, after exposing the institution to abject ridicule within the public domain. That is enough also to annoy our colleagues. But despite that, Senator Akpabio admitted the petition and said it to be treated, referred to the Committee on Ethics and Discipline, upon which Senator Bamidele and another senator raised the point about the rule in the books. The fact that Justice Iguatu, Justice Donatus Iguatu, yesterday ruled that should be suspended. Senator Massin, chairman of the Ethics Committee, made the point that the court cannot interfere in the processes of the National Assembly. There are decided cases in that regard, in that particular regard. So Imasuen himself, who is a lawyer, knows this, and that's why he stood on that, and the committee proceeded to act. 3, on the rule. They said their rule book says that the petition must not be signed by the petitioner. Now, whether Uduanga is able to get somebody to support her or not, that's beyond our purview. We cannot go on a voyage of discovery to begin to imagine what may have happened. There may well be persons in that Senate who support her. However, the other point, let me just jump all the levels of analysis, is to say this, that this is a matter of urgent national interest, to the extent that the representatives of the Nigerian people have exposed that institution to ridicule. Nigerians want to know what happens at the end of the day. We understand that they have their other book and all of that. This matter can go to the court and all that. One technicality or the other, the matter will be thrown out. The basic issue will not have been addressed. As for the issues about defamation and all that, there's something called res, the main substance of the case. The main substance of this issue is the allegation of sexual harassment. And we Nigerians need to know what is the truth. Is Natasha Akpoti a witness of truth? Is Akpabio himself, who says he was well brought up by a single mother, is he a witness of truth? This is what Nigerians, would like to know. Beyond all of that, I think that the senators, out of enthusiasm, excitement, should refrain from, blackmailing one another and the kind of, personal attacks that have been heaping on Senator Akpoti. First, we had, she has children from 2 men. Another one, they say, she has 2 children, 1 child, 1 husband. In fact, somebody called me this one and said, no, it's actually 6 husbands, and 6 children. Now, all of this is immaterial. This is, misogyny playing out, patriarchy playing out. Let them deal with the substance of the matter. How she lives her life privately is not the matter. The matter is whether the National Assembly is an appropriate forum for cocodrie, whereas the purpose of that assembly is for the lawmakers to conduct themselves as distinguished people. If they don't conduct themselves as distinguished people, the electorate should take notice and make sure that they're extinguished where their guilt can be established. And we expect them to conduct themselves as gentlemen, as responsible people. That is our concern.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati. Thank you, Rufai. I don't have a lot to add to this. I think the topic of conversation has been justly dealt with and properly dealt with. But just my 2 cents, just to add to what both of you have said. One is that this is a moment in Nigeria's history whereby we have the opportunity to pivot away from what has been the norm in terms of how women are perceived or how Nigeria is perceived to treat its women and girls. I believe that the distinguished senators in the House, 109 of them, have the opportunity to demonstrate very loudly to Nigerians and the rest of the world that this is where they stand, away from just rhetorics of saying, we're supportive of women, to actually come out through their actions to demonstrate this. This month is International Women's Month, coincidentally, and Saturday officially is International Women's Day, and everyone will be doing the hand sign of progressing or accelerating action. But the most important thing is that action speaks a lot louder than words. Coming back to the situation on ground, what Nigerians are asking for in reality, number one, which is the question I keep asking whenever we have an opportunity to speak to a member of the hallowed chambers, is what is the Senate's stance on issues like this? Forget the actors in this issue. It is, what is the official position of the Senate in this matter? The actions you take therein would then prove to Nigerians whether or not you are for or against protecting the rights of women and girls. Young girls are watching, women are watching, because if it's seen that whenever you bring up a case of or allegation of sexual harassment, your voice will be silent or they'll begin to dig up dirt about you, then it would make more women keep silent and the post or politics a lot more unattractive for girls and women whom we're trying to bring into the play. Then beyond that, yesterday I asked Senator Neda Imasuen a question as to how fair the process will be, because we all saw right here on TV where he came and he said that the Senate president was innocent, that he doesn't believe that he did it. How can that man be the chairman of the committee that's supposed to oversee the matter? It is already, the case was dead on arrival even before he pronounced it, based on procedural issues yesterday in the chambers, at the committee meeting. I would think that in the interest of fairness, based on that particular interview, that he actually recuses himself as committee chairman. In fact, some people have asked for an investigation because they can't trust the process anymore. You saw what played out already. Senator Okpeyemi Bamidele saying, I sympathize with you, Senate President. I mean, you're making a statement already whose side you are on. How on earth are we going to get a fair